Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'm so happy to have you. So my pre-existing subscribers, welcome back to the channel. So for today's video in particular, we're going to be talking about and discussing in Venezuela and the possible war that Donald Trump might pursue in the South America region. So we'll take a look at that, find out what's going on there. We do actually have a dictator in Venezuela, and it's also very interesting because more often than not, science and history, well, not science, but history has shown that dictators oftentimes don't get along with others like them because there's always this alpha complex and there's never a beta. And Donald Trump is not the one to accept that he's a beta. And so, he's going to be in some sort of conflict. So we're going to take a look at Venezuela quickly. I know a lot of you guys are not interested in this video, so this video is going to be on the shorter end. But anyway, this video is being recorded on Saturday, August 30th at 1:34 p.m. Eastern Standard Time as and when I'm recording this video. Keep in mind this video is just for entertainment and for educational purposes only as well. And if you want to help out this channel, well, you can do so by liking, commenting, subscribing, hitting the bell icon, engaging with the content. Sharing this video with others really helps boost the algorithm here on this YouTube channel. And Well, I was just notified by YouTube today that they actually just added a new algorithm that the more you like and the more you interact with this video, it really helps show other people, especially who are subscribed to the channel, that I posted a new video. But if you want to stay in the loop or you want to stay in the content loop of when I do post and upload, go into the comment section below, find my Facebook group and my Discord and my Blue Sky account. And I will personally notify you when I do post and upload. I'll upload all videos and stuff like that. So it's a great way to stay in the loop and not be so dependent on YouTube. But if you are dependent on YouTube, just hit the bell icon, select all notification, and you'll be notified when I do post and upload. Alright, let's go ahead. I hate long intros, you do too, so let's just get on with this. It's two minutes is way 2 minutes too long, but let's get on, okay? Let's talk about the information about what's going on in South America. Now, if you may have heard, Donald Trump have recently said that, oh, well, in case there's a war, I could postpone the election in case of war, which has never been the case in any other U.S. history. That's never happened before. We had the War of 1812, didn't push the election. We had the Civil War, didn't push the election. We had World War I, World War II, didn't push the election. Vietnam, all those wars. America has been in war for like 219 years, I believe, or more. So that claim that he's saying is not rooted in historical relevance, but rather the approach towards authoritarian or dictatorship. But we'll take a look at that. We're going to find out what is he doing in Venezuela, why is he sending warship to Venezuela, and why is Venezuela sending troops to the border of Venezuela. There seems to be an approach to start a conflict. This might be an attempt to delay the midterms. We'll take a look at that as well. And let's go in. Alright, so Spirit Angel, tell me about the situation in Venezuela. And I'm hearing the word Guyana, so I assume there is an issue there. There's the card that just flew out. So that's the situation between the two, between Guyana and Venezuela. What is the situation between Donald Trump and Venezuela? What are they trying to do? There's destruction here. There's destruction. Now, if you haven't heard, what is it called? They found oil in Guyana. They found oil in Guyana and Venezuela. This is not my prediction. This is what's on the news. And they found oil in Guyana, and Venezuela wants that land because the economy in Venezuela is shot. So they want to take over that piece of Guyana land that has oil reserves. The United States is heavily lobbied by multiple gas companies or oil companies that are lobbying for the government to go to war against Venezuela so that they can monopolize the oil industry, so that Venezuela does not have access to oil and is solely dependent on the oil companies. That is really what it's rooted in. So let's take a look. Let's see if this tarot card reading aligns with that statement. We have the two pentacles. This is the situation between Guyana and Venezuela. This is saying that it goes up and down, up and down, up and down. So there seems to be in some periods in time, it doesn't feel like this is not only relevant to the current moment in the modern age, but it feels like Guyana and Venezuela always had an issue with one another or have some sort of historical beef from the past. So let's take a look in terms of historical significance, and let's find out if there's any, if any, at all. Okay. Hold on, let me just... Okay, we're going to do now. Okay, has Venezuela and Guyana had issues in the past? So let's see. I hope oops, it just said Bennett. That does not sound like anything like Venezuela. Venezuela. Okay, now I spelled it right. Okay. The boundary dispute, also known as the Exabo conflict, was inherited from the colonial power of Spain in the case of Venezuela, and the Netherlands and the United Kingdom in the case of Guyana. It has persisted following the independence of Venezuela and Guyana. Okay, so there is historical relevance here, which means that this is what this card represents, like what I said, that there seems to be this historical precedent. So this is not out of the ordinary. This is not a new development. This has something that has always been at each other's throat. This has always been the issue since its founding. Seem to be on par. Now, this is the environment. We're asking about what is the situation between Venezuela and Donald Trump and the United States. We have the Queen of Swords. The Queen of Swords is justice come in to serve a goal or to stop something from happening. And here you have it, the Ace of Pentacles. What is stopping from happening? This is the Ace of Pentacles, it means handing over money. This is oil, right? Money, preventing money. So they're preventing money. And you have here is the Three of Wands here. There is an overlapping of a goal. There are two goals here. The goal is to stop and please the oil industry and also protect Guyana while also hurting Venezuela. And then you have the Three of Wands here. It's aching for war. And if you guys have watched this has always symbolized two things for me. This card always represented overseeing destruction of the United States or overseeing the destruction of an area or an environment. And it's also symbolized as well, this symbolizes the election night, watching the election. So there is two goals here. It is to put an end not only to the election, so this also has a side benefit, but also it's being lobbied by the oil industry to prevent the transfer of money or prevention of helping in certain countries' economy. This is what this represents here. What is on the bottom of the deck? We have the Hierophant in reverse. This is the government in reverse. This is the dark government, the shadow government. And the shadow government is saying the Ace of Wands, no, this is not happening. We will put in a puppet if we need to. So what is this saying here? You ever seen like the Banana Republic? It feels like oil companies are going to start kind of repeating that type of behavior where they start to prop up countries, not because they're actual nations, but rather than a proper country, that's more relative to corporations and stuff like that. So like the oil republic, possibly like something like that. I do feel like that is kind of like where we're heading in the future. It kind of be like a repeat of that type of historical significance. On the top of that here, we have the path of least resistance, which is number 7, the 7 of Wands. And what is the path of least resistance? No one's walking away from this issue. This is the 8 of Cups. It's telling me here that both sides are going to be at each other's throat. It's telling me like Scorpio energy. So there's a lot of cutthroat. I wouldn't be surprised if somebody in this situation is a Scorpio or maybe possibly a nation was formed during the month of Scorpio or during the time period of Scorpio. And here you have a Temperance in reverse. This is not going to be a balanced issue. This feels like this is going to be an issue that the United States does not need to get involved with, but corporations will ensure that the United States does in order to reach a goal. So they're using the United States' military in a way that to harm other people in order to secure more money and more greed. This is a classic corporate greed. This is classic monopoly. So, okay, with that said, Spirit, is there anything else that you'd like to share? I'm also hearing as well that I'm hearing something about Guyana, but the message went away. There's something with Guyana here. Okay, what does this mean? What's the content here? What's the context? They want me to use my astrology deck. And then we're going to talk about the United States election because it does come up in the reading. So what I said earlier about what the news was saying, it was accurate. Okay. Which is rare because that never happens. But I guess because it doesn't serve a political purpose in the United States, I guess it doesn't matter. Alright, so Spears Angel Tommy, let's take a look at the astrological perspective here. What is the astrological perspective about what is going on in Guyana with Venezuela and Donald Trump and his administration trying to intervene? We have Mercury, what falls underneath the Fool card. What else? Thank you. There seems to be a lot of energy right here. Okay, 2 cards here. This one's off to the end. Anything else? Take a lot of cards. Alright, so there's a lot of astrological movement going on into this. I'm going to try to break it up and try to figure out what is the context that's being asked. But I did say the word Guyana, and this is the story of Guyana, I guess. But this is the 5 of Cups. They're saying there is a loss here. There was a loss and this is giving me the energy of independence. It's saying that the independence may have been great for the nation, but it also prevented the security and protection that the nation needed. It weakened the nation beyond repair. This is known as the descendant, which represents attraction, relationship, or partnership. In order for Guyana to survive, and the reason why it survived for as long as it did was because it had European protection. It had protection from a mother nation, which means that although the area might be small in terms of relative size, it's able to replenish the troops pretty relatively because a nation from a foreign country far away from whatever is attacking Guyana could come to the aid to protect it. We have here in the next card is we have the Fool card in reverse. There's cautiousness. There is a yellow flag. It almost feels like watch where you're going, watch your step, is what I'm hearing. Because why? We have the word fire here, which means radiant, enthusiastic, dynamic. They're very calm. Their fire is not there. It's telling us here that they've been very sneaky, very behind the scenes, walking in people's shadow, hoping that no one notices them. That's what it feels like. And here you have Mercury underneath it, which represents communication, correspondence, and expression. They try to be very quiet with their communication, be very quiet when nobody knows who and what they are. They could backfire on them because people don't know who the country is, so they're going to write it off as a fictional country. We have the King of Pentacles. I'm here in oil. Oil companies in particular, this is the King of Pentacles. This is a great opportunity for Guyana to become a rich nation. This is what this represents. But there's a caveat here. There's a but here. It's how it develops. The first card that comes in is we have Mars, which means competition, action, and willpower. They have to be able to outcompete the oil companies by essentially getting rid of the corruption and the fact that the United States is going to be used in a faction to get the goal of these monopolies and corporate greed to prevent these other countries, other nations from doing the right thing. So for example, you ever seen like how a lot of brilliant people in like Africa discovered like inventions to prevent cures, find cures and all those things and just somehow went missing or be killed? It's probably because the United States did it to prevent it. This is probably why, America is a genocidal state, and it makes a lot of sense because America is undergoing these many issues because America has always been a genocidal state. It has always been an authoritarian state. Underneath the Mars, we have Gemini, which is heading in the past, which means this happened in June, or something was started in the brute in June, which is also symbolizing Uranus entering Gemini. We have here multifaceted, balanced, curious. They're saying here that there's going to be a period of imbalance during this time period. So it does feel like it's going to balance out a little bit. It's going to get a little calmer in the situation between Venezuela and Guyana for a little bit. And it's going to probably be like this until around November. And then it's going to kick off again. We have Juno, which is kind of like going in the upright position, so it just peaks. It means marriage, commitment, and bond, which means there is something here. There was an alliance that was formed with Guyana. We do have here what is coming towards the peak. What is coming towards the peak around November. We have here diplomatic harmony and balance. So like I said, there is going to be a period of peace or calmness that's coming towards Guyana, but it's only going to be for a little bit. And we do have here what's the final outcome, what is also going to peak after this peace period. We have here the psyche, which means the soul, the consciousness, and mind. So it does feel like there's some sort of psychic, I almost feel like there's some sort of spiritual connection to what's happening in Guyana and the rest of the world. It's a collective. So watch Guyana closely, because it's going to project the nature of how the world and the collective feels and thinks over the next couple of years. Just say, for example, they overthrow their leader. Expect half the countries around the world to overthrow their leader in response to Guyana. So expect that type of behavior. Not saying that it's going to be an overthrow of leaders, but there might be a match in your energy type situation. When you go toward the end, there is a happy period for Guyana. This is the Ten of Cups. So it does feel like to me that in the situation for Guyana, they are looking like they're going to win the war, or better yet, if there was a war, they're more likely to win and be on more of the happier side. What is going to end up coming towards a peak? Oh, well, excuse me. So what already ended and what already peaked? We have here Pisces in 12th house, will symbolize karma, shadows, and secret. This is actually pretty good for Guyana because it means that it healed its karmic cycle, which means Guyana might be the only nation in the world that actually healed its karmic cycle. That's amazing because that's something you don't see. The topic deck here, you have here in reverse, what either ended or what hasn't come out yet is the moon, what means emotion, instinct, and subconscious. So either that ended or that is coming about. Now let's go ahead, let's take a look about the United States elections, and then we'll end off today's video. I do want to take a look and see if Donald Trump is going to use Venezuela conflicts as a reason to justify not allowing an election to occur. Okay. Okay, so Spirit Angels tell me, will Donald Trump justify not hosting an election or prevent an election or delay an election, whatever it is, move an election, suspend an election, I don't know what it is, whatever he decides to do with an election that interferes with the national process, the national order of how elections are run in the United States, will he enter war? Will he make sure that he's a wartime president to suspend elections across the United States? Will he do that by using Venezuela or Guyana? Will he use that? Okay? And besides Venezuela and Guyana, will Donald Trump suspend, postpone, delay, whatever he is doing with the election? This is overall energy here, guys. Will Donald Trump ever suspend a presidential election or any election, for that matter, in the United States? Will he suspend any election or prevent any election or delay any election by becoming a wartime president? Okay, this is the answer. Alright, so the first card that answers the question, this question here, this card represents, will Donald Trump suspend, delay, end elections in the United States by becoming a wartime president? This is for everything. This is for only Venezuela, by using the issues of Venezuela. He said that he does crime and all those things. We have here, on the topic deck here, we have the Hierophant, and the Hierophant is heading in the past tense. The fact that the Hierophant is here is telling me one specific thing, one specific matter only. And because the Hierophant is moving in this direction, which is in the past, it tells me that the governmental structure, what they call it, the general alert structure, I'm seeing like a military structure, that's what I meant to say, it's kind of been replaced by shadow. I'm seeing a lot of shadow energy with the military, specifically generals. I'm seeing a lot of that type of shadow energy. We have here in reverse is looking at the smaller detail, the fine print. This is the Nine of Cups reverse. This means looking at the fine print, looking at the small intricate detail that makes and balloons a larger story. Underneath the Hierophant reverse, but also heading in the past, we have here being challenged by wishfulness. The idea that you can wish for this. manifestation. This is the Page of Cups. It's saying that wishful thinking is saying that you're a fool for thinking that it could happen, but with just enough hope, just enough manifestation, you could bring it into reality. And here you have it, the Hermit card. If you're able to find the fine print, which is the light, which means that in order for you to read the fine print on maybe there's a document or a contract, you might be able to find a loophole in order to do it. And the loophole is looking at the fine detail, looking at the finer things, looking at how you can subvert elections in the United States by looking at the finer detail. Which also in this section here, in this quadrant, we have the Strength card. Donald Trump would have the support of Congress and the Senate if he were to pursue this route, because it would occur prior to a transition of power from one party to the next. This is the strength. He would have the loyalists backing him. So if you're thinking about what about the opposition, there isn't any opposition. So answering the question here with Venezuela and Guyana and Donald Trump and whether or not he's going to suspend, delay, and any election in the United States by becoming a wartime president, is saying that it's very possible. If he can find the fine print and be able to read and find a loophole by using shadow government and shadow general to do so, he might be able to find a loophole necessary to be able to pursue that, and he won't have any opposition because his current government structure, which is a Republican run in every governmental structure, would ensure that he's able to do just that. So is it possible? Yeah, I would say it's definitely possible. Is it impossible? No. Will I say that there's a 50-50 chance? Yeah. I would say right now, based on this current projection, there doesn't seem to be a lot of resistance. There's about a 57% probability that he could pursue this route. We're using Venezuela and Guyana as an excuse to become a wartime president. And now when we take the overall look, it could be any country, any conflict, new or old, doesn't matter, to become a wartime president and to suspend, delay, end elections in the United States. We have the 9 swords. This could be 2 different things. It could symbolize that Donald Trump is unable to do this, or the fact that he did do it, and these are the American people, realizing that democracy has ended. So let's ask the final question here. We're going to ask for a clarifier. Does this mean that Donald Trump had ended democracy by becoming a wartime president to suspend, delay, or end elections in the United States? Is this what the 9 of Swords card represents overall? Show me a ballot card if necessary. Okay, so we have oil here. This is water, oil, emotions, underground. You cannot mix oil and water together because that just is impossible. But when you do at a fast pace, you can make a hand lotion. I don't know if you know that, but you can make a lotion. And here we have oil spill. So there is oil here. There is a potential for an outbreak. There is a potential for an explosion. This would explode democracy. So here you have the black oil, and you have oil here. The fact that this is all about oil confirmed what we talked about earlier in the video. The water and the Taurus card. Right? It's saying that he could do this, but it's going to be in small increments. Small increments, and it could balloon out. What is the card that's coming out here? We have here the 10 of Wands reverse. Is making a structure that makes it possible to wheel up into reality. What's the bottom of the deck? We have the 10 of Swords, which basically means the end of the United States, so possibly it could be the end of democracy. On the top of the deck here is a Black Panther in a place that does not belong. It's a snowy mountain hill. Black Panthers live in a jungle. It tells us this is something that's not natural. This is something that does not belong where it is, but yet it finds itself in that area. And underneath that, what is being found in an area that's not normal is the election. It's the election card reverse. Judgment. I think this answers your question. So, will Donald Trump do it? Will Donald Trump pursue the route? It looks like pretty much with certainty he might actually pursue this route if he's desperate enough. I will put this now with the probability of using Venezuela and Guyana, 57%. The probability of doing it with other nations or any old or new conflicts, I would say puts it around high 60s. So that's where we are right now. Alright guys, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell icon. Until next time, I will see you soon. I love you.